independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
All right, listen up, everybody. Some breaking news from Moderna.
Well, we're getting Moderna's phase 3 interim results, 94.5% efficacy for their COVID-19 vaccine in this phase 3 trial. They saw 95 cases of COVID-19 among these 30,000 participants. 90 of those cases were in people who are not vaccinated, who are in the placebo group. 5 cases were in those on vaccine. So that's how they get almost 95% efficacy.
I see you, Pfizer, and I raise the bar. How about apples and those apples? So Moderna now, also 2 shots, 95% effective almost, 95%. So you've got 2. You got Pfizer right around 90%, this right around 95% with Moderna. What does it mean? How does it break down?
Of course, the bar was set very high by Pfizer at 90%. This met it and exceeded it. So they saw 11 severe cases of COVID-19 in the trial, and all of those were among people who did not receive the vaccine, suggesting this is not only highly protective, but can protect against severe disease as well. No major safety concerns seen. Side effects were things that they'd expect, including fatigue and muscle pain after the second shot. They say they plan to submit for emergency use authorization with the FDA in the coming weeks and to talk with global regulators about applying around the world.
That's huge. So, is it possible that by the end of the year, which is about 6 weeks away, by the end of the year, that we could see this get to regular people, one or both of these?
Before the year is out, we'll be able to administer a vaccine to tens of millions of Americans, as you've said, Mr. President, beginning with those most vulnerable. Beginning with our seniors.
Yeah. So that's huge. On top of this, so the way it breaks down is they've given this thing out to about 50,000 people. It shows that the majority and the vast majority do not get it at all. Anything. It protects them from getting this. The people that have gotten it, it protects them from getting it really severely. And as you heard with the people who have the placebo, which means they didn't get it at all, the ones who did get it were very, very, very sick. That is massive. In a world where we're trying to get back to some normalcy, in a world where we're trying to get ourselves back into, well, doing what we did before, going to movies, going to dinner, going to sporting events, going to these things, this is huge. And we need it. We do. We need it. Because this thing is growing every single day. The numbers are rising. What you can't argue with is the hospitals. I always tell everybody, look at 2 things, the hospitalization and the mortality rate. The mortality rate is staying pretty low comparatively. And if we actually figure in the people that have caught this thing that weren't detected, they were asymptomatic or just never even bothered to go in because they thought, I've got a cold or I've got a sinus infection or it's just allergies. If you add all of those people up, the mortality rate is above the flu, but it's not 90, it's not 2, 3, 4%. It's closer to probably 0.5%. But it's how easy this thing is spread. So you look at what else? The hospitalizations. And you can't deny the fact that the hospitalizations are continuing to rise. So we have to be prepared that over the next, I would say 6, 7, 8 weeks, that this is going to get ugly in certain places. Not everywhere. Because the one thing I have noticed about this thing is the way that it reacts is very different. It reacts in different, because it morphs, right? So it mutates, and the way it acts is very different. But I also noticed that it could be in one state and hit them early, and the next state, while you may see rising cases, you won't see the kind of issues you had early. In other states that it seemed to it was there, but it didn't do anything. They feel like they're getting the second or third wave because the other states have gone through it. So this is huge news if you're sick and tired of what is going on. And I think we all are. The fatigue that we have is massive. It's incredible. Kids not going to school. You're not seeing family. The human interaction. Take away some of the stuff that we've kind of learned to live with, but the human interaction of not, even now watching a sporting event and not seeing guys, give each other a high five or a hug after a great play, or just the way that this thing's playing itself out, or saying, oh man, there's a person out there who doesn't have a mask. It gets in your mind. It does. And it plays with you. And then that question always comes, when will we get back to normal?
I guess for Pfizer, it's 2 doses. I'm not sure what it is for Moderna or the other vaccines coming down the pike. But once the process is complete, does that mean they can take off their masks? They don't have to social distance? They can just go about their lives as before?
I would recommend that that's not the case. I would recommend you have an added area of protection. Obviously, with a 90+% effective vaccine, you could feel much more confident. But I would recommend to people to not abandon all public health measures just because you've been vaccinated.
Yeah, I'm taking mine off. I'll be 100% honest with you. The minute I get to the point, now there may be stores that ask you to because some people won't have it. I mean, you may be walking around and you're one of the lucky ones who gets it early and you get both doses and you feel pretty safe. But the reality is that some places aren't going to have it. It may take a while for us to get this in large doses across the country to not only slow the spread, but virtually stop it. Give it nowhere to bounce into because everybody's either been exposed to it, have had it, or you've got the vaccine.
Even though for the general population, it might be 90 to 95% effective, you don't necessarily know for you how effective it is. So when I get vaccinated, I'm not going to abandon completely public health measures. I could feel more relaxed and essentially not having the stringency of it that we have right now. But I think abandoning it completely would not be a good idea.
Because 5 to 10% of the people that get immunized, it will not be effective for. So they might actually get the virus if they just completely let down their guard.
Yeah, maybe, Jake. But the reality is at some point in time, we need to get back to our life. And I'm not going to wear my mask all the time. I do it now because I respect people. I do it now because people have asked me, will you wear a mask here? I said, yes. I got zero problems with that. Don't come into my house. Don't come into my car. Don't come into my backyard, right? You stay out there. If I'm going to go to your store and you ask me to do it, I got zero problems with that. At the end of this, though, at some point, once again, it goes back to the calculated risk. You take the calculated risk. What's the calculated risk? If I've got the vaccination and I've went through it and I've had it, at some point in time, all of us are going to have to say, all right, it's time to get back to normal. And I can't worry about if I'm the part of the, 5% or if somebody else is, because the reality is that's everything. That is everything. The flu is not 100%. We don't wear masks all the time. We don't close down everything for that. That is everything. So we need to be smart and aware. We also have to take calculated risks. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. The Million MAGA March. I paid zero attention to this weekend, I have to be honest. I know there were some skirmishes. I don't think it was 1 million people. But there was a lot. And they still believe that it's not over. And this weekend, I do my videos and stuff. And this weekend, some people are just attacking me, talking about, hey, it's the 12th Amendment. You watch, the Electoral College is going to have to give it to Trump. Some people living in a world of delusion's the best way to describe it. You're seeing, court case after court case get tossed out and everything. And it's interesting when I talk to people about you're a raging liberal. I'm like, why? Because I have stood up for Trump on numerous occasions, and I've also criticized him. Because your belief is solely about Trump. Like, Trump. It's all about Trump. He's the only one. That's a you thing. I'm going to say this, and it's the same thing for the people on the far left who have the Trump derangement syndrome. You need to start challenging yourself. Critical thinking is vitally important in life. You need to challenge yourself. You need to challenge yourself if you believe you have any intellectual ability whatsoever to try to prove yourself wrong. Well, why would I want to do that? Because if you prove yourself wrong, the chances are you're looking for the truth, and you might not think you have the full truth about something, and you want all of the facts. And to do that, you may have to hear things you don't want to hear. And that's hard for a lot of people because your identity is wrapped up in something. So you got to challenge yourself. And who knows? Maybe in challenging yourself, your belief system will grow because you'll find out that, yes, what I'm saying is true. What I'm absolutely saying is true. Or you may find out along the way that as you're challenging yourself, that some of those things that you have out there start to fall, and that maybe you're not getting all of the truth, and that your echo chamber that you live in is exactly that. It is an echo chamber. It is something that is hermetically sealed with only certain groups of people in there that only believe the way you do, and they're not interested in the entire story, just the story that fits their narrative. I saw it this weekend with thousands of people who still believe that some way Trump's going to win this thing and it was stolen, and that thousands of people who are telling everybody over there, you need to accept the fact that you lost, all the while for the last 4 years, they've not accepted it. Challenge yourself a little bit. That's all I'm saying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Hope you had a phenomenal weekend. I did. Talk a little bit about the Masters, some football action this weekend, and I did something spectacular this weekend. I never left the house. And by never left the house, I didn't go outside in either direction. I set a world record of doing nothing. It was spectacular. I loved every second of it. Hey, Christmas, not too far away. The holidays are here, Hanukkah. It's on. How would you like to do this? How would you like to take all of those things that you've had in your family, those memories that are locked up in aging and horrible media, the tapes, the films, just stuff on reel film, 38 millimeter. Stuff you can't get off those things. Legacy Box is here to help. A truly amazing gift for your family. So let me tell you, I sent ours in. So we got ours. I don't have any pictures of my dad, and all the films and stuff we had was all on VHS, and I think a couple were on beta. So we put them in this box. They send you this box, and you ship it off to them with all the stuff, the pictures, the media that I have that I didn't have of my dad. And my grandfather, who's recently passed away, and they're digitizing it. They're doing everything right now, and it's incredible. It is so easy. All you have to do is pack the box, you send it off, and then along the way, they're going to be digitizing it, and then when you get it back, you're going to get back all your original, plus everything in new media. Cloud, thumb drive, DVD, all of it. And you have a tracking system so you can watch it with Legacy Box where it is in the process. Almost 1 million people have preserved their memories and brought their memories back to life. You can do the same. Right now, they've got an amazing deal. 50% off. Go to legacybox.com/Benson. Take advantage of this limited time offer just for the holidays. Legacybox.com/Benson to save 50% while supplies last. Legacybox.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
3, 2, 1.
Not only was this the first ever operational flight for the Crew Dragon capsule, but the astronauts themselves are making history. Victor Glover will be the first black astronaut to spend an extended time at the International Space Station. Mike Hopkins will officially be sworn into the newly formed Space Force military branch once on the ISS.
Resilience rises.
The crew naming their capsule Resilience, a nod to the many challenges we've overcome this year.
Yeah, how cool is that? Now, producer Phil, you're a space nerd. Did you watch any of it? Because you're a space nerd.
Yes, I certainly did.
It seemed like it went smooth.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, how about that? So we're up in space again, 27 and a half hours to go from door to door. First words once they got into orbit. This was a hell of a ride. And now they're going to spend some extended time out there, which is, it's awesome. It's awesome to see.
Incredible experience. It's just something that you really don't know how great it is once you actually see it in person.
Yeah, one of the people who worked on it. So that's pretty awesome. It shows you, look, for all the chaos and craziness. And we got the new news today. Again, Moderna, 94.5% effective. Pfizer, 90%. We got that a couple weeks ago. Both of them are applying for emergency authorization, which means it'll probably happen in here first for people getting the dosages. How many of them are going to be readily available? Most of it by the end of the year will probably be given to doctors and people on the front lines defending and fighting against this thing, as well as the people who are elderly, most vulnerable, people who have diseases. So that's good. But when you look at something like this, it doesn't, just you step back and you marvel at the fact that once again, and this is private-public partnership, as they head to space and they're trying to get to further where we're going. And it's things like this that further the things down here. And if you go and look at the space program over the years, how many great things we've had come out of the space program that were a byproduct of that. And that to me is awesome.
Being able to experience something incredible, and we must live even with these experiences. So coming out here and still living even with the precautions, this is an absolute ray of hope.
I think so too. I do. I think so. And I think it's amazing. And I think we need more understanding of how far we've come and where we're going, because we all too often get caught up in the minutia. We argue about the dumbest things in the world. We only see the negative because the algorithms point out the negatives are the things that sell. And you only have to realize that, not even in the news. Take out the news cycle of thing. If you've got a bump on your elbow or you've got pain in your shoulder and you go to, WebMD or any of those medical things, you will go down a rabbit hole. And rarely do you look for anything that says, oh, it's probably just something stupid. By the time you're finished going down 50 rabbit holes, you've diagnosed yourself with every disease known to man, and all of them are incurable. And we do that with the news cycle as well. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text at us. Love hearing from all of you. 50 years ago, something happened, and if it happened today, it would go so viral, but it's still amazing. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
For months, public health experts like yourself have anticipated that this flu season might be especially bad. One would think that we've had some time to prepare. Why has it gotten this bad?
It really is as simple as just pandemic fatigue. The virus hit different places of the country at different points. And so you've had people who've been doing these things since February, March, April, but they didn't really start to see the wave until later on. And they're just plain tired.
Yeah, that happens. Surgeon General Jerome Adams. It happens. The fatigue is real. We let our guard down. I get that. 100%. Who doesn't get that? Wearing masks, not being able to see people, not being able to get close to people, not being able to hug people. Staying away from your family and friends. Just it's the fatigue is real. Then you top that off by not going into your office as much, or not going out to dinner, not just being in an area where there's energy and people is massive. And now you've got what? Thanksgiving, not too far away. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is fast approaching.
Yes.
People want to gather. What should they do?
The safest way to celebrate Thanksgiving this year is to celebrate with people in your household. Period. Point blank. End of story.
Which is kind of a bummer.
It is, but this year the way you show your family that you love them, the way you show your friends you love them, is to prevent them from your potential asymptomatic spread.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of Thanksgiving, new survey out. 40% of U.S. residents say they plan to gather in groups of 10 or more, according to Ohio State University and Wexner Medical Center. Nearly 33% of respondents say they will not require friends or family to wear masks at Thanksgiving gatherings, and 25% say they would not practice social distancing, according to the new and latest poll. If you live with your family, and let's say it's a husband and wife, and you got a couple kids, and you see your mother or father or whatever, and I get that. I don't do a big Thanksgiving. I'm going to do a little one, as I tend to do. It's never been my thing, and I'm with my family, and if I was in Southern California, we go out to eat, and then we go out and shop. Because the older kids tend to just go with the other parts of their family, and so my little brothers and sisters. So we tend to just do, something small. It's going to be that way this year. Something small. Not going out, making something small. We'll enjoy our evening in, and that's that. I could not ask in good faith people to come over and say, hey, did you quarantine for 2 weeks? This goes back to understanding what calculated risk are all about. What are the calculated risks? The calculated risks are the people that I'm going to be around. I have seen, we've been in contact, they're going to come over and we're going to just treat it as any other day. But it's frustrating. It is. And I understand that, especially when people are so used to being in larger groups, especially during the holidays. But the reality is a little different this year, and especially when it comes to older people. And it's just about using your head. That's it. Use your head. Understand the calculated risk. Don't live in fear. Look at those risks and say, you know what? I see grandma and grandpa all the time. They're always over here. They understand the risk as well. They've done really well to social distance. They want to see the kids. They want to see the family. We're going to take that calculated risk. And do this. And for other people, they're going to say, nope, we're just going to do nothing. That's okay too. Whatever suits you. It's the beauty of our country is we should have some absolute freedoms and allowing people to decide. But when it comes, if I wanted to have 15 people over, I'm going to have 15 people over. But I don't. But if I did, I would understand what the risks are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Do love hearing from all of us. By the way, all that being said, we still have a government that isn't doing much when it comes to sorting out the situation, when it comes to, I don't know, a stimulus. Are we going to have one? Are we not going to have one? Are they going to do anything? Are they not going to do anything?
We are urging McConnell to re-examine his position and support the kind of COVID bill that meets the needs of New York and the needs of the American people.
Yeah. Well, what are you guys going to do? Because we're getting close to lots of, shutdowns. We've seen it. Oregon over the weekend or Friday shut down everything. Governor Brown, she's like, we're done. We're shutting stuff down. It's going to be for this. We're going to extend it through the holidays. Chances are they may not see the light of day until the first of the year. And it's not just them. Washington State, California is coming with more and more shutdowns. And here's the thing. For all the red state, blue state stuff, the blue states seem to be struggling just as much as the don't wear masks red state people that always get accused of. And that's the reality of it. Everywhere seems to be having a problem. The spread seems to be quite large, and it seems to be everywhere. And there may be just a sense that, you know what, no matter what we do, there's still always going to be some sort of chance. But when you have the fourth quarter, the holidays, the times when companies, especially retail, local and small companies, hopefully expand to the point where they put enough coffers in the bank that helps them get through and grow into the next year. And now you have this landing here right now during the time of the year when they expect to really start doing well, especially after this last several months. That is going to be frustrating if we have to shut everything down again.
And President Trump was off tweeting instead of leading again. Here's what he said. Congress must now do a COVID relief bill. The word he spelled wrong was Congress. It should say McConnell. McConnell should do this because he's who's holding it all up. We have heard for months, every time we get close to a deal, Senator McConnell says no. He has become the Dr. No of COVID.
Why is he the Dr. No? McConnell wants something smaller. Nancy and the Democrats want something larger. We can meet in the middle. We could take it 60 to 90 days at a time, understanding that the vaccine's going to be here, so we don't need to pump a ton of money in that. And maybe, just maybe, the Democrats can realize, hey, we can have some give and take at this position and move forward in a smart way. without having to do what? We don't need to print $3-4 trillion. We can go at $1.5 trillion, make sure and target those things, make sure the people that are going to be out of work because their businesses are being shut down, i.e., I don't know, gyms, restaurants are getting reduced. Some of them are told they can only be takeout again. You start to break it down. Be smart.
May I remind you that we have a president of the United States. We have a president of the United States. That is so very important. And whether you're in the minority or majority, if the president is of your party, you have more power. I think that that's what Mitch McConnell's going to find out now, that whether he's in the majority or the minority, not having Donald Trump in the White House is going to change his leverage and that dynamic.
It's not. As long as he says no, I think he'll be fine. Remember, they're co-equal branches of government. So we forget that. Nancy over there. Surprised she's doing stuff. Let's go back 50 years, people, shall we? I want to go back 50 years because 50 years ago, something took place. 50 years ago last Thursday, something took place that would be the greatest viral thing of all time. A whale washed up on the Oregon coast, 8 tons, huge whale. Didn't know what to do with it. Started stanking, started getting nasty.
It had been so long since a whale had washed up in Lane County, nobody could remember how to get rid of one. In selecting its battle plan, the Highway Division decided the carcass couldn't be buried because it might soon be uncovered. It couldn't be cut up and then buried because nobody wanted to cut it up, and it couldn't be burned. So dynamite it was, some 20 cases or a half ton of it. The hope was that the long-dead Pacific gray whale would be almost disintegrated by the blast, and that any small pieces still around after the explosion would be taken care of by seagulls and other scavengers.
So their idea was, all right, we got a great idea. Let's blow this thing up, right? Like this is pre-internet. Think about this. This is 50 years ago. So, okay, it's here. So we don't know what to do. I got a great idea. Let's stick a bunch of dynamite in it. We'll blow it to smithereens. When this thing gets blown to smithereens, we'll be able to clean up some of it, and the little, everything else will take care of itself. Nature will then prey upon nature and prey upon it and eat it, and we'll be fine.
Well, I'm confident that it'll work. The only thing is we're not sure just exactly how much explosives it'll take to disintegrate this thing.
The dynamite was buried primarily on the leeward side of the big mammal, so as most of the remains would be blown toward the sea. About 75 bystanders, most of them residents who had first found the whale to be an object of curiosity before they tired of its smell, were moved back a quarter of a mile away. The sand dunes there were covered with spectators and landlubber newsmen, shortly to become land blubber newsmen.
Because you know why? It went south. It went south fast. They tried. They thought they had the plan. The plan, blow it up.
Here comes pieces of mine.
Our cameras stopped rolling immediately after the blast. The humor of the entire situation suddenly gave way to a run for survival as huge chunks of whale blubber fell everywhere. Pieces of meat passed high over our heads while others were falling at our feet. However, everyone on the scene was covered with small particles of dead whale.
Yeah, if you've never seen it, Google it. It is worth a watch. And it's almost like it's a Monty Python meets Saturday Night Live skit. And when it explodes, what people don't realize is you've got hundreds of pounds of giant whale blubber flying around, hitting cars. A small little piece the size of a quarter at that kind of speed would have killed you. It was the 70s. Nobody got fired. Nobody died, thankfully. But people were saying the mist of the dead whale was so thick. And what was left there? Just giant parts of one half of a whale that didn't get blown up. It was spectacular. We need that. 50 years ago, we did stupid things. And thank God for that, because it makes us realize that we've been doing stupid things for a long time, and we will probably continue to do so. And imagine this. Imagine what would happen in today's world with social media. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. CarShield gives you 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free if your car goes in the shop. And that shop, well, you choose it. They get them paid directly. Don't be caught out. Maybe you're going to visit grandma and grandpa. Maybe you're taking a road trip to go see the love of your life, and you're going to be out of town, and that check engine light comes off, and you're 200-300 miles away from your home, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, my God, don't worry. CarShield has you covered. It's amazing. You just call them up. They take it to wherever you want them still to take it. Everything stays the same. You can get a rental car, and yes, you could choose that shop. They get everybody paid for free. Doesn't matter if your car's a little bit newer or a little bit older. 5,000, 150,000 miles. You're struggling with the, I don't know what to do because I don't want another payment, but I do worry about not having a warranty. Well, this is where the cover repairs from CarShield comes in to help like you could not believe. It is awesome. Call them up, 800-CAR-6000, 800-CAR-6000. Use the promo code Benson to save yourself 10%. Be specific on what you're looking for. You're more worried about your engine or the electronics. You're more worried about the heating and the air conditioning and the windows, or you're more worried about the transmission. They've got plans that start as low as $99 a month. 800-CAR-6000, promo code Benson. Saves you 10% at carshield.com. Carshield.com. Use the promo code Benson to save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Moderna said its coronavirus vaccine could be up to 94.5% effective, the second vaccine after Pfizer's with efficacy above 90%. Both vaccines use mRNA technology, which tricks the body into protecting itself from COVID-19. Moderna's Dr. Stephen Hoag said the difference is distribution.
Our vaccine appears to be able to be distributed in much more traditional infrastructure, so traditional refrigerators and freezers.
Pfizer's vaccine must be kept far colder and requires special equipment.
Yeah, so that's huge. Remember, look, somebody asked me today if I had a chance to get a vaccine that had 70% effectiveness, and I could go get it today, or I may have to wait in line for weeks and months to get something that's, I'm going to go get the 70%. Sometimes it's just about being able to get it distributed. And with Moderna coming out with 94% efficacy rate, which means it's effective. So the way that they've broken this thing down is if you look at the fact that 9 people, I believe, or 10 people, maybe 11 got on the trial, got coronavirus. But out of those, I think only 1 or 2 actually got the vaccine. The other people were given the placebo. And the people that got the vaccine, they were fine. Even though they caught the coronavirus, there were very minimal signs of the coronavirus, where the other people got really sick. So that's a huge win. And that's what we need at this moment in time is this. We need a victory across the board to start helping us get back to a normal way of life that includes living life day to day, interacting with people day to day, hugging each other, seeing, sporting events together, going. I watched the Masters this weekend. I absolutely loved it, but I'm not lying to you guys. I understand why people are saying that without the crowds, it feels less important. Watched the football game last night, the end of the football game between the Cards and the Bills, and you had Murray Magic, who's the quarterback, right? He came out, rolled out to his left, threw a 50-yard Hail Murray, they're calling it, and what a catch by Hopkins to win the game. But when you have 1,200 people in the crowd, there does feel like there's a certain, and that's why something like this, where we get ourselves back out there, we get living again. On top of everything else, the confidence it gives is tremendous. Speaking of the Masters, DJ won, and he won easy. Yeah, he won easy yesterday.
Honestly, it still feels like a dream. As a kid, dreaming about winning the Masters, having Tiger put the green jacket on you, it still seems like it's a dream, but, I'm here, and, what a great feeling it is, and I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, it's funny we were talking because he is, how should we say this? He's got no personality. In a sport that at times lacks personality, he shows that you can have no personality. And the fact that he even said this, because he looks like a robot all the time and never smiles. And by the way, never smiling when your fiance / girlfriend / partner is Paulina Gretzky, wearing yoga pants, celebrating your victory, you got to smile.
It was still hard. I mean, I was nervous all day, but I felt like I controlled myself very well. Controlled the golf ball very well in difficult conditions. I felt like the wind was really tricky. The greens were a little bit faster. So I felt like you really had to be careful around here today.
Yeah. But it did make a difference when you don't hear the noise, when you don't hear somebody chipping in from 2 holes out there who's gaining on you. There doesn't, the quietness can get you at times, but not like having somebody make a charge and you feel that energy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. You can text the program. Please do. Love hearing from all of you. Check us out on Chad Benson Show TV, which is YouTube, and Facebook as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
All right, listen up, everybody. Some breaking news from Moderna.
Well, we're getting Moderna's phase 3 interim results, 94.5% efficacy for their COVID-19 vaccine in this phase 3 trial. They saw 95 cases of COVID-19 among these 30,000 participants. 90 of those cases were in people who are not vaccinated, who are in the placebo group. 5 cases were in those on vaccine. So that's how they get almost 95% efficacy.
Listen up! Could we have dose? That would be 2? Could we have 2? By the end of the year, ready to roll? Is that possible? 2 vaccines? What?
Of course, the bar was set very high by Pfizer. At 90%, this met it and exceeded it. So they saw 11 severe cases of COVID-19 in the trial, and all of those were among people who did not receive the vaccine, suggesting this is not only highly protective, but can protect against severe disease as well. No major safety concerns seen. Side effects were things that they'd expect, including fatigue and muscle pain after the second shot. They say they plan to submit for emergency use authorization with the FDA in the coming weeks and to talk with global regulators about applying around the world.
Which is awesome. We need that awesome news. Dr. Fauci, do you have anything to say? Because normally you are a Debbie Downer.
The vaccine that we're talking about and vaccines to come are really the light at the end of the tunnel.
The tunnel. The tunnel. The light at the end of said tunnel. This is good. This is good news. I'm excited. Look, doesn't mean it's coming tomorrow. You and I both know that isn't going to happen. It is going to take a bit. They're going to get the emergency authorization. And from there, it is probably going to take several months to get to everybody. But I keep saying, look for March, April, May to be the point when it's really rolling out to everybody. And I have a feeling by probably mid-second to early third quarter, we'll be back to about 85% to 90% of what we were pre-coronavirus.
The data are really quite impressive. I mean, a 94.5% efficacy. There were 95 events, 5 of them in the vaccine group and 90 of them in the placebo group. That is really quite impressive. So now we have 2 vaccines that are really quite effective. So I think this is a really strong step forward to where we want to be about getting control of this outbreak.
Yeah, and that's great because we're seeing what? We're seeing massive rates of infection nationwide. Hospitals nationwide are feeling the crunch. We've had the most people hospitalized from this, far bigger than what we saw take place earlier in the year. Some places, they're getting their first real big hammering of the coronavirus is other places, while they're feeling the pinch, are getting a second, some people think even a third wave. For me, I never really felt like it left at all. Because last time I checked, we've been living in a world where we're social distancing. We have to worry about it. And it's frustrating. It is frustrating. And I get a lot of people are frustrated. But the reality is we're not too far away from getting past this. And it sucks because the holidays are here, and it's going to be a holiday that we never thought we'd see a holiday like this. An absolute nightmare when it comes to this thing spreading, and you're choosing, do I have 20 people over? Do I have 5 people over? Do I have no people over when it comes to Thanksgiving? Bars, restaurants, gyms, retail places, all being either shut down or limited in what they can do in a time of the year when they start to really do their thing and make some big money, especially after a year like we've had. Unemployment continuing to stay steady. And normally this time of year, what are people doing? They're picking up jobs. They're adding jobs. Companies are adding a ton of employees for the next several weeks to get through the holidays because they're expecting a massive jump in holiday spending. And is that going to be the case? I don't know. But we're almost through the nastiness. We need to, understand that for the next few weeks, it's probably going to be ugly.
We've got to get the vaccine. It's got to be deployed, and we can't abandon fundamental public health measures.
So not until the second or third quarter of 2021, though. Christmas is probably not going to be possible.
Yeah,
Christmas will be possible. You're just going to have to do it in a little bit different way. It's that simple. It's that simple. You're going to do a little bit different. And this has nothing to do with whether it's so funny when you start talking about this, people do run into two camps. The camps of it's a hoax, it's fake, or the camp of that this is as bad as, the last stage of rabies, or the Ebola virus. It's neither of those. It's serious and real. And the real part is it spreads so much faster. So think about this. The flu. People say, well, the flu isn't as deadly. No, here we have a vaccine and we have therapeutics. But imagine if instead of 30 or 40 million people getting the flu, that 120 million people got the flu. Even with those other things, those death totals would be huge. Yeah, you're right. And that's the way you have to look at this. It's the spread that is nasty. It's the first time people's bodies have seen this. Some people fare much better. Some people, they're still breaking this thing down, and they'll be doing so for the next decade or so. It's just about being smart. That's it. We're almost there, right? And the next year we can go hog wild, right? We could party like we've never partied before. We get through this thing and just drop it like it's hot. And I think we should. We're getting close, though. We are. And I think we're going to get there faster than people think. But it's still going to be frustrating for a while. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Yeah, apparently the Million MAGA March, that wasn't 1 million people, but they'll tell you it's 5 million people. And then it wasn't 50 people. The people on the left tell you it was about 1,000 people. It was much bigger than that. But we're still in a position where Trump has not conceded. And there's a lot of people out there who are saying, look, this is it. Trump, we're going to find it sooner rather than later. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick on what's going on.
And remember, there's less than 30,000 votes in Georgia and Arizona dividing Biden and Trump. And if those two states turn, if they do, then the Supreme Court could make the decision on Pennsylvania, and then Trump is president. So I don't know how it's going to turn out, but we deserve a real count to know what the real vote was so we can have confidence in our elections. And Biden should be the first person to go out there and say, look, recount.
If I was Biden, I would have said that a long time ago. Let's get a double recount. Let's get a triple recount. Let's recount the recounts just to make sure, because I want there to be no stone unturned and no conspiracy theory out there that this thing has been rigged.
We're fixing to overturn the results of the election in multiple states, and President Trump won by not just hundreds of thousands of votes, but by millions of votes that were shifted by this software. The software was designed to rig elections. It was exported internationally for profit. They did this on purpose. It was calculated. They've done it before. We have evidence from 2016 in California. We have so much evidence, I feel like it's coming in through a fire hose.
Oh, that's great. But where is it, Sidney Powell? Where is it? Where is the evidence? I when I ask for proof, people they give you one thing. Well, this got thrown out. This happened. No, it didn't happen. You show them it didn't happen. Well, this happened. And then you show it didn't happen because people are not what? They're not challenging themselves. They're not thinking for themselves. They have decided that their feelings and emotions about what side of the aisle they're on have dictated either the last 4 years of their life or what's currently going on right now. And they're not doing any critical thinking for themselves and thinking to themselves, maybe he didn't win. Maybe he didn't win these states. It's possible, right? And then when you say, well, show it to me. Well, we're taking it to the court. And then it goes to court and it gets thrown out, or they tell them they really don't have anything. And then what happens? They come up with something else. What's the deep state? Or it's always something else. Look, at some point in time, you may have to come to the realization that Trump didn't get cheated. He just lost.
Who do you believe won the election?
I expect Joe Biden to be the next president of the United States. It was good, actually, to see President Trump tweet out that he won. I think that's a start of an acknowledgement. And it is very important that Joe Biden have access to the intelligence briefings to make sure that he is prepared. During times of transition, our enemies have an opportunity to try to take advantage of us. We want to make sure that there is a smooth transition.
Asa Hutchinson there, Republican, Arkansas. Who do you think won? I expect Biden to be the next president. People just come and they just can't accept that. They can't. They cannot accept the fact that maybe that happened. And I'm open. My ears are wide open. My mind is wide open. If you show me something, then we talk about it. We don't just talk about it. If something really happened, if the domino system, the computer system, if this thing was switched and 2 or 3 million votes were switched and all of a sudden Trump did win, the reality is that would be the biggest scandal in the history of the United States. That would be the absolute biggest scandal ever. And if the Democrats perpetrated something like that, the chances of them getting back in the office in the next, 2 decades would probably be slim to none. But you have to show proof. And for a lot of people, it's fading fast. Even Trump admitted Biden won, but he didn't concede because he feels he'd been cheated. We'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Do love hearing from every single one of you. Ray Cons, the best earbuds around for sure. So Ray J put this together when he was, he's an entrepreneur. He's a music guy, and he put this together in such a way that he wanted the price point to be amazing, but also the sound quality to be second to none. And that's what you've got. You can say big, right? It's the holiday season. Why not start using your time to shop wisely and get everybody the best earbuds around? Raycon. Seamless Bluetooth pairing, comfortable noise isolating fit. You can listen right away. You can keep listening for hours. The audio quality, like I said, is amazing. And that fit goes so far to making the quality even sound better. The noise isolating fit, whether you're taking a call, whether you're on a video conference call, there's no stems, there's no wires. It is truly awesome. Get a pair for yourself. Get a pair for everybody this holiday season. And the price, like I said, well under $100. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad today. And what are you going to get? You're going to unlock deals across the board. 20% off your Raycons right now. But hurry. Limited time. Jump on these. Buyraycon.com/Chad. You're going to get 20% off right now. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverent? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's find out what's trending globally around the world and here in the United States of America. Kidding? Oh, man. Yesterday, Dustin Johnson, number one trending thing, he won the Masters in record fashion, 20 under par. Margaret Thatcher, fact-checking the crown. Hi, I see where Queen Elizabeth and Margaret Thatcher. SpaceX, baby. Trending, and lots of football trends along the way. Because, yeah. It's trending big today. One word, Moderna. The vaccine. Trending big time right now everywhere, both on Twitter and Google. Why? Because of what's going on. 94% efficacy rate is what they're saying with the latest Moderna vaccine. So this is two. We'd have Pfizer and Moderna, both of them over 90% as far as their effective rate. Both are applying for emergency authorization. The difference between these two, yeah, the 4% is big, but what is even bigger is how it's delivered and stored. With Pfizer, you need extra equipment to keep it at a certain level of coolness. Like, well, I think it's minus 90 degrees or something. With this, regular. You put it right next to your Pabst Blue Ribbon. You'll be fine. Chad. Space Karen on Twitter, because Elon Musk was pissed that he couldn't go watch SpaceX take off. And apparently he threw a fit about it, saying he has a mild case of coronavirus. And I don't know what it was. John Tesh is trending because he is leaving Twitter, apparently, and heading over to Parler. I'm on Parler, too, at Chad Benson. That's all you got to go look up there. I should go over and post something. Candace Owens found this to be interesting. She came out and criticized Harry Styles because he wore a dress. And she basically said, essentially, is where are the manly men? Right? And some people are posting, look at all these people, 50 years behind the culture and education, and showing people like Iggy Pop and Kurt Cobain and David Bowie. It's just, look, whatever. I mean, do you really think do I think Harry Styles is cool? No, not really. Not a Harry Styles fan. Not a fan. I don't really pay any attention. Do I think that we have sissified a bit of America? I do. I think we have. And I think that the whole we have a part of America now that is based solely on feelings. And to me, I find that to be, yeah, I think she's right. And here's the thing. There's a lot of people that probably agree with her, but would never say it out loud. Because we live in a world now where you don't say certain things out loud because you're going to be seen as not being woke or cool, or you're going to be seen as somebody who's stuck in the times. It's, well, what about people who wear kilts? Yeah. Well, you're going to battle? Like this. That's when you normally would see it, right? But back in the day, we've since moved on from that. Hey, look, I don't care. If you want to wear a dress, knock yourself out. I got zero problems with it. But is she right about, when's the last time you met a girl? She goes, and or a woman's like, you know what I'd really like is a super, super sissy man. Or somebody who is, who's not manly at all and has no testosterone or has no, come on. This is, yeah, look, I'll say it. I think it's a bunch of crap, bunch of BS. We have made ourselves a world now of uber feelings over facts, and we're trying to blur the lines in everything. And that being a male and that having some testosterone and being manlike is somehow bad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet and text the program. Love hearing from you. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I said I would be satisfied with a 70-75% efficacy, and that something like a 95% was really aspirational. We would like to have seen it, but it was aspirational. Well, our aspirations have been met.
Yeah, Moderna announcing today that their trials, they've gotten through the third round of trials. Now it's about applying for emergency authorization. But their trials for a vaccine for coronavirus are pretty darn good. 94.5% effective. That's huge. You add that to what Pfizer said, and theirs is effective to 90%. The chances of us starting to see this thing rolled out at least into a position where we start to see some people in the very near future start to receive that is very real. I would not be surprised that I'm thinking by mid to end December that doctors, hospital workers, nurses will probably start to get to frontline people, and then they'll start to work on the elderly, people that are compromised because of their immune system, they've got comorbidities, whatever that, will start to receive it, and then we'll move forward from there, which is the best news that I think you can throw out there. In a time when we're frustrated, we're seeing rising cases, this right here is huge. It is massive. So sooner rather than later, I keep saying end of second quarter, start of third, we will, I believe, get back to a point where this time next year, we're living a normal life, that there is no more social distancing. He's talked about wearing masks still for a while, because some of it may not, it's not going to be 100% effective. But the reality is at some point in time, you take those calculated risks, and you accept the fact that maybe you're the one who isn't, even though it does maybe 95%, that you may not be completely vaccinated and that you may still catch it. But they've shown with both of these that even if you do catch it, that the kind of damage it does is minimal compared to not having it. That's great news. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. President Obama, the former president, talks last night because Trump's still not conceded to Biden. While bizarrely he's recognized Biden won, the battle's still on.
What is your advice for President Trump?
Well, a president is a public servant. They are temporary occupants of the office by design. And when your time is up, then it is your job to put the country first and think beyond your own ego and your own interests and your own disappointments. My advice to President Trump is if you want to be remembered as somebody who put country first, it's time for you to do the same thing.
Yeah. Now, is he going to? No, I don't think so. Not anytime in the near future. I thought maybe this weekend he might. You had the Million MAGA March and you had skirmishes there. I watched none of it because I'm living my life. I'm out there. I'm living my life. By out there, man, didn't do anything this weekend. Hung out with the family, stayed indoors weekend. It was like the best weekend ever too. It's like 73 degrees outside, little bit of wind, some white clouds that are puffy, but just otherwise just as gorgeous as you can get. Didn't do it. I didn't even go out back. That's how amazingly lazy I was. But I've been working a lot. So I want to watch the Masters. And I was going to go hit golf balls, but it was packed. But did I watch and turn to politics? I did not. As I try to explain to people, I work hard. I'm up at 2:30 every morning. Normally it's a little bit earlier, but because of the time change and the fact that Arizona doesn't change times, I'm able to get a jump start on things. So sleep in a little bit, but I work hard. But I do decide that at sometimes I've had enough and I cut myself off. And there are more important things than the 24/7 barrage of insanity that goes on. And that gets frustrating for a lot of people out there who tweet me all day, who text me all day. And I love hearing from them. But my life doesn't revolve around the president or what happens day to day in whether it's the Supreme Court or it's Congress or whatever it is, I got other things going on. And those things are important, but at some point you've got to just take a step back and breathe and get away from the echo chambers and get away from all of this other stuff and start to, quite frankly, live your life. And you don't think, oh, Chad, there's nobody. Let me tell you something. The amount of tweets and texts I get. Posted something on Friday about, are you going to accept Joe Biden as your president if all is said and done and they've exhausted everything. And the way that people came after me, you liberal hack, you POS, and they just attacked me. And I laughed. And this goes back to the thing we've been talking about throughout the day. It's the critical thinking. So we've lost that aspect anymore because we go to the niche marketplace that serves our confirmation bias. We scoop up everything we can in there. We believe that that is the only truth that's out there and that everybody else is lying. And then we get it confirmed over and over again by the people we're hanging out with, never once doing any real critical thinking for yourselves. And that is a scary, scary thing. And it also sets you up for everybody is cheating me. No matter what I do, everybody's cheating me. If I lose, it's because I was cheated. And if I win and the other side said you cheated, that's impossible because you're the only one who cheats. Everything is based on feelings and ego, and that's not good. It's not. And let me tell you something. Feelings and ego and a lot of this stuff, it hurts both sides. Case in point, the left side of the aisle, why they're scratching their house going, what the hell happened? This is supposed to be a blue wave, and it was anything but.
If you listen to the Democratic congressmen and women that were running, that they were hurt by two things. One, defund the police ads, and two, the socialism ads. And you bring that up, it's like waving a bloody flag.
People see socialism as the most un-American word that you can use. It's un-American. I want to say that again. Other than certain voters between the ages of 18 and 24 that actually think it's a good thing because they're happy to get a small salary and health care for all. But the overwhelming majority, un-American, that is a verboten thing.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely right. What does that hurt? It's based on feelings, based on a lot of nice stuff. It's not based in reality and fact. And that cost them big time. It did. Just like the blue wave in 2018 that started as a trickle, ended up being more of a blue wave. What ended up happening? The people that were the wave weren't the AOCs, but they got all the press because even the people on the left decide AOC is worth listening to and watching because she can cause controversy, much like Trump can.
As far as defund the police, AOC yesterday went on again. I'm doubling down on that. The amount of people that friends of mine were voting Republican and quote AOC as if she is somehow the voice of the party. She's not. She represents 100,000 people. The party cannot be about defunding the police. That is the most inane, stupid thing in the world. And obviously Joe Biden, who won, was explicit about that. You don't win talking about defunding the police. You don't win talking about socialism. You don't win talking about fracking.
No, you don't. But once again, the left needs its villain. And she can be a villain that drags people into a conversation that gets more eyeballs. Defunding the police, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I understand maybe wanting to take some of that money and put it into other programs that may help kids stay away from doing things that potentially could lead them to crime. That is totally fine. More training, better training. I get that. But completely abolishing and defunding the police is insane. We wouldn't do that with school, right? Like, hey, these kids get bad grades. Their test scores are horrible. Maybe we should defund teachers. You would never say that. You would be, oh my God, that is nuts. More from Donnie Deutsch.
This country lives just right of center. Even with all the changing demographics, we are still 20 to 30 years away from where messages that have more of a what I'll call socialistic overtone would have any resonance. And we're a century away from when defunding the police makes sense. That's just idiotic. It's moronic. And any Democrat that doesn't understand that is a moron, actually.
Yeah. And there's plenty of them out there because you can win in your district with messages like that. Look at what's going on in Minneapolis right there. Remember Minneapolis? So George Floyd, this thing all took place. Defund the police. They all voted at the whole 9 yards. You see people quitting left, right, and center because being a cop has become a bad thing. What are they doing now? Crime is through the roof. What are they? They're having to bring cops in from other areas. Look what's going on in New York. My goodness me. He comes out every day, de Blasio, and has something crappy at least once a week to say about police. And what ends up happening? Murders through the roof. They've already beaten 2019. Keep going. Shootings through the roof. Stabbings. Crime. Nuts. No. You want to train. You want to give people better tools. But this is what happens because it's a message that sounds good. It sounds nice. It's about feelings. It's about, we should get rid of this. And, we can have people that are violence intervention specialists go out there. Yeah, no. It's just, you guys, you're not getting it. Overworked, underpaid, stressed out. But when that's your message, even the average Democrat is like, that's a heavy no for me. Nope, let's make that a hard no. And when you hear people talk about, well, we need to start doing stuff as far as when it comes to socialism and the government take a more active role in your everyday life, even people that are average run-of-the-mill Democrats, the day-to-day Democrat that's out there, living a life, small business owner, owns a gun, looks around and says, once again, that's a hard no for me. But when you allow certain people to get the microphone, it changes the message tremendously. Even if that's not your message, the only message I'm hearing is that. So what are people to think? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Tweet, text, love hearing every single one of you. Love and hate. You can feel free to text at me. Try to answer as many as possible. If you start out with an insult, chances are I'm not going to answer you back. If you want to have a conversation, right? I try, like I say, I get hundreds of texts and tweets a day. I try to answer as many as possible. But if you start out with you're an effing blankety blank, chances are there's not going to be a conversation. I'm just throwing it out there. Hello Fresh, kids. Hello Fresh. So look at this. Black Friday's almost here. Number one meal kit in America's got a great deal for you. And the beauty of HelloFresh is, so Jack went home this week and my son. So what do I have? I got low-calorie meals delivered last week because we kind of pigged out a lot while I was here. We had a lot of fun. And this is awesome. But you get three choices. You get family-friendly, which Jack loves. We get HelloFresh's low-calorie and vegetarian. I went with the low-calorie. 22 chef-curated recipes every single week. And it's so easy. The instructions are on there. It's a meal. It's like putting together a food puzzle. And it comes with pictures. So you don't have to worry about meal planning. You don't have to worry about prepping. You don't have to worry about opening the refrigerator and standing there for 10 minutes and you're going over there and all of a sudden you open up and you look in the cupboards and you look everywhere else, right? The pantry and you think, what am I going to make? Don't worry about that. Spend more time with your family this holiday season. Take all that stress off, plus save money, about 40% versus shopping at the grocery store, and no more food waste. You're going to cut down big time because they're portioned perfectly. Right now, go to HelloFresh.com, use code Benson90, $90 off, including free shipping during HelloFresh's Black Friday, limited time only. It's a Black Friday sale. HelloFresh.com, promo code is Benson90 for $90 off. HelloFresh.com, code Benson90 to get those savings. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
Great. We're going to get killed by Murder Barbie.
The body-swapping horror comedy Freaky premiered in first place at the weekend box office, taking in $3.7 million, $5.6 million when you add international earnings. Those modest numbers are still all it takes to win as the pandemic keeps most movie theaters closed.
You're with me on this, right?
Right behind you. The thriller Let Him Go slides from first to second at week 2, taking in $1.8 million for a $6.8 million total gross.
Yeah, not a lot going on at theaters at all. And that's sad. I'd like to see Come Play, which is supposed to be pretty darn good. Little horror film. And Freaky, which looks really good. A lot of people saying that this is one of the best movies Vince Vaughn's done in forever and a day. But just not going to theaters. No theaters open. And at this point, I'm just like, we're going to get through this sooner rather than later. I'll get out to the theaters. I don't feel like wearing a mask for 2 hours inside. And it's just, it's frustrating for a ton of people. I get it. But man, I'm assuming that once we get through this, I'm thinking May next year, June, the release of movies, you're going to see more box office movies dumped as fast as possible than you, I mean, because think about this. How many movies this year have been pushed back that were already ready to roll? Now think about the movies that they're trying to finish up as we speak and that will be finished up early next year. They'll be ready to roll. We're going to have a year where we had nothing, and now we're going to get a year where we're going to get a ton. So soak that up. Maybe went through all the hard stuff first, but we're going to have a ton. You're going to be seeing 2 movies a day. Alex Trebek passed away. Great dude. Everybody loved him, but a human being. And he had a bit of a mouth on him.
So keep watching Jeopardy 24 hours a day and call this number. You dumb son of a bitch. You don't watch it 24 hours a day. There's a daily cash prize of $1,000 and no shit. Call now and play Phone Jeopardy. She drank the poison that Captain Hook intended for Peter Pan.
Tinkerbell! Like a lot of people, he has his moments. You hear that, you get a glimpse behind, you're like, whoa, that was him? Because you don't think, people say some bad stuff. Yeah, there you go. Regular people say regular things. That is the beauty of the world that we live in. Do you cuss, Chad? Damn Skippy, I do. All the time, right? I try not to. I don't do it around the kids, but I'd be lying if I said in between here when we're BSing and talking, yeah, we would drop a few bombs every once in a while. Try not to do it around the microphones because I've had some issues. I had one issue. But yeah, it's just a human being thing. And by the way, I've got some great outtakes there's some great outtakes out there, not just me, but a bunch of people who are voice actors or cartoon actors who in the voices say some horrible things after they screw up. It's being a human being. And when you're a perfectionist along the way and you screw up, it's doubly hilarious. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Once again, Moderna, 90+% effective, 94.5%. Pfizer hovering just over 90% effective. Both of them are applying for emergency authorization, which means they could be distributing these out to the public by mid to late December. That's great news. Dark times we've had this year, getting into the light, heading out to 2021, hopefully, and I definitely think in a much better way, which is huge blanking news. Am I right? Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
President-elect Joe Biden writes on Twitter that the good news from drug company Moderna on a potential COVID-19 vaccine is, quote, further reason to feel hopeful. But Biden adds, quote, we are still months away. And he says Americans need to continue to wear masks and practice social distancing. Biden goes on to congratulate who he calls the brilliant women and men who produced this breakthrough, saying they're bringing the U.S. one step closer to beating the virus. President Trump in a tweet said history should remember that the vaccine development, quote, all took place on my watch.
Of course, ego. Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to say absolutely. 110%. Beginning of this thing, people are saying, no, can't happen. Fauci's like, I don't think it'll happen. And it's happened. Now, Trump has swung and missed many occasions during this pandemic. But so have the states. And I've been a big proponent of states' rights, and I will continue to do so because that's what's in our Constitution. And we want our states' rights, and we want individual freedoms. And states themselves have missed the mark. And even when trying to do, quote unquote, the right thing, the reality is blue states and red states seem to be facing the same issue, no matter how masked up and restrictive you get. But if you're going to blame Trump for everything, and many people do, then you have to say, under his watch, this has taken place. Under his watch. And it's funny because you'll get people say, well, if it was under Biden's watch, it would have done the same. How do you know that? Because I just know. Well, then I could say under Biden's watch, this could have been just as bad as you blame it on Trump. Well, that's impossible. Can't have it both ways. Critical thinking, people. It's not hard. This is great news. This is huge news. This is a win because we are getting to the point where I can smell normalcy. I can smell a chance for us to, yes, get out of this chaos and craziness.
All of that work, all of that energy, all that sacrifice that we've poured into the last 10 months, hopefully will be rewarded by a return to normalcy in the months ahead.
Stephen Hogue, president of Moderna, right there talking about it. That's what we need. We're getting close.
Well, we're not done yet. While we need to continue wearing masks and practicing social distance and doing all the things to try and beat back the virus in the near term, it does feel like we are closer to the end than we are to the beginning.
And that's what we want. We've gone through hell. We've seen our country face a Great Depression on top of a health crisis that is absolutely insane and continuing to get worse in the coming probably weeks or so while we hit into early on the flu season. But I think at the end of this, we're going to hit the ground running and we're going to tear into this economy again and just push it and get us back to a world of normalcy. But that is not going to be overnight. That is going to take a while. And he talked about it right there. Stephen Hogue, the guy who is the president of Moderna, who announced today 94.5% efficacy rate, meaning it's effective, big time. But we're still going to have to be cautious in the coming months because there isn't a billion doses. We're still in a situation that even with Pfizer and this, we may only have 40 million ready to roll. And, there's going to be about 20 million people that are doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, people that are working on the front lines, as well as people who need this because they're the most vulnerable, the elderly, people who have comorbidities, struggle with everything. Maybe they're fighting cancer, whatever it is, they're going to have to get it first. People that are most vulnerable. So we'll still have to be somewhat cautious.
I guess for Pfizer, it's 2 doses. I'm not sure what it is for Moderna or the other vaccines coming down the pike. But once the process is complete, does that mean they can take off their masks? They don't have to social distance? They can just go about their lives as before?
I would recommend that that's not the case. I would recommend you have an added area of protection. Obviously, with a 90+% effective vaccine, you could feel much more confident. But I would recommend to people to not abandon all public health measures just because you've been vaccinated.
I will. Will you? Yeah. Now, I'll still wear a mask indoors until we know that for certain a bunch of people got it, because you're wandering in there. I mean, I'd like to say, hey, look, I already got the vaccine. I don't need to do this. But you're gonna cause more hell than needs to be caused at that point in time. But I also recognize that we're living in a world of risk. Everything's got to calculate. What's the risk to you? I think, and I'll say it right now, based on the people that I've talked to, based on the scientific experts that include former surgeon generals, doctors who are facing this on the front line, people that have worked at both of these places, they're looking towards really the beginning of the third quarter, where we're back into an 80 to 85% world of living that we did pre. that the mask will be optional, but we'll still see some people with masks. But by and large, most people won't. Movie theaters, sporting events, all of those things will be up and they'll be going and we'll be living our life. And that's what we want to hear.
Even though for the general population, it might be 90 to 95% effective, you don't necessarily know for you how effective it is. So when I get vaccinated, I'm not going to abandon completely public health measures. I could feel more relaxed and essentially not having the stringency of it that we have right now. But I think abandoning it completely would not be a good idea.
Because 5 to 10% of the people that get immunized, it will not be effective for. So they might actually get the virus if they just completely let down their guard.
Yeah, and that's true. And by the way, the people that get it's not 100%. But the whole thought process is if it's 1 or 2 people in a room that don't have it, the vaccine, but the other 98 do, and the virus was to come in, it's going to have nowhere to go and set up shop. And because of that, it'll die. And maybe never even get to those 2. I'm not going to worry about it. Again, calculated risk. Common sense, calculated risk. We move on. We move forward. That's what we need to do. It shouldn't be this hard. It will be because along the way, people will politicize it. As we saw the other day, Trump and Cuomo politicizing what is going on when it comes to the vaccine. Because Trump said,
as soon as April, the vaccine will be available to the entire general population, with the exception of places like New York State, where, for political reasons, the governor decided to say, and I don't think it's good politically, I think it's very bad from a health standpoint, but he wants to take his time with the vaccine. He doesn't trust where the vaccine's coming from, but he doesn't trust the fact that it's this White House, this administration. So we won't be delivering it to New York until we have authorization to do so, and that pains me to say that.
And he's come out and he has said a bunch of crap about not wanting it, how bad this is, that they've come up with the vaccine while Trump's still in office. And he is, of course, obnoxious as it gets, Cuomo, who wrote a book about how it's great leadership through all of this, all the while sending sick people back to homes where the elderly are to watch them die.
COVID is not the only virus attacking us. We are being attacked by other viruses. COVID weakened our immune system. And when your immune system is weakened, then you get attacked by other viruses. And that's what happened to America. We're being attacked by multiple viruses at the same time. And we must fight them all.
What the hell are you talking about?
Racism is a virus. Sexism is a virus, and discrimination is a virus, and injustice is a virus, and division is a virus, and distrust is a virus, and abuse of power is a virus, and hatred is a virus.
He's obnoxious. He is. He's super obnoxious. Look, you don't have to like Trump at all. I'm open-minded. I don't hate Trump, don't like Trump. I don't give people who are politicians that kind of, rant in my head. That's, those kind of things are preserved preciously for me by family, by friends, by things I actually care about from the person themselves as opposed to what these idiots say all the time. And Governor Cuomo is as obnoxious as he thinks Trump is. He matches him, and at times he betters him.
Our America is strong enough to admit her mistakes. Our America is not a low tide America. Our America is a high tide America. Oh, yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me, and yet I swear this oath, America will be, and New York will lead the way.
The hell are you talking about? So America was a never America to you, but you swear it will be, and New York will lead the way. That's some mighty stuff right there. Do you believe all that you say? Who are you talking to? Just curious. My God, that is insane. Somebody gave him the go-ahead to say that? Somebody did? Jeez Louise, I'm kind of with Trump. And by the way, I have no problem with Trump saying no to the states that want to do all of their own research on this because they don't believe it. It's come from they don't believe Moderna or Pfizer because it's under Trump's watch. And there's no reason for them to have it until they're ready to actually use it. I got zero problems with that. None. I don't think anybody else should. That's on you and your state's governors. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Rough Greens is awesome. Love it. Use it for my dog. Actually, use it for all my pets when applicable. So my meat eaters that I own, they do not care for greens. But even my lizards that have it, I will sprinkle it on top of that. And they love it. They absolutely love it. They eat it up. My dog Doodle, it is keeping him healthier and happier than he's ever been in his life. And the things like, he's got bad arthritis and the fatty tumors. Those things are non-existent anymore. And it is because I sprinkle this Rough Greens on his food. It's got vitamins, minerals, vegetables. It's got probiotics. It's got omega-3, 6, and 9. It's got all of these amazing things. And it's simple. It is absolutely simple to do. You just take out their food, right? Whether it's dry food or wet food, just sprinkle a little bit on top and watch them go. They love the taste and they eat it up. Right now, Rough Greens is doing something amazing. You can put it to the test. It's not going to cost you anything except shipping. That is it. Simple as that. It's a $30 value, absolutely free. All you have to do is go to roughgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad. When you do that, they're going to send you a $30 bag, absolutely free. You pay for shipping. Try it, put it to the test. You watch, it'll really make a huge difference in your dog's life. ruffgreens.com/Chad. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
We hope that because of Moderna and Pfizer's vaccines, which we've already been producing, to have enough by the end of December to vaccinate 20 million of our most vulnerable citizens.
That's good news. Moderna again today coming out. Thing about Moderna that it matters is the fact that with Moderna, you don't have the issue that you have with Pfizer. Pfizer's 90% effective, according to them, and the studies they have done and the research. They're through the third phase. 94.5% with Moderna. Very similar, except for one big thing. You can store Moderna anywhere refrigeration-wise, compared to the special stuff you'll need with Pfizer. I think it has to be minus 45 or minus 90. So you need special refrigeration. You need a lot of different things. That's a huge thing, having the opportunity to be able to store it in a regular fashion comparatively to the other side of it with Pfizer, which is still great news, 90%, but not everybody's going to have that refrigeration. But 20 million Americans, the most vulnerable, getting to the point where they can feel less vulnerable, that is a win. On top of that, we got to start thinking about as we head into the holiday season. I mean, the holiday season's here. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving. Think about that for a second. So next Thursday is Thanksgiving. Christmas spending and stuff is full on as much as it can be because people are still trying to figure out exactly what's going on with their jobs. States across the country reinstitute all kinds of shutdowns and close downs. They're debating it in California and all the big cities across the board. So Michigan, get ready for it. Philadelphia, I just got, in Pennsylvania, just got something sent through from our friends over there in Allentown at the talks. Just said, hey, check this stuff out. There's a lot of stuff going on where they're looking to close things down, and that retail side hurts. And so what happens with the stimulus?
We are urging McConnell to re-examine his position and support the kind of COVID bill that meets the needs of New York and the needs of the American people.
I'm urging the McConnell. I'm urgent McConnell. That's Chuck Schumer. How close is that to it actually happening? That's the big thing. I don't think we need another $3 or $4 trillion. I think $1.5 trillion would go a long way to helping people get through this season, to helping a lot of people get through the quite frankly, the shutdowns that are coming in some states, big states, by the way, in big cities.
And President Trump was off tweeting instead of leading again. Here's what he said. Congress must now do a COVID relief bill. The word he spelled wrong was Congress. It should say McConnell. McConnell should do this because he's who's holding it all up. We have heard for months, every time we get close to a deal, Senator McConnell says no. He has become the Dr. No of COVID.
The Dr. No of COVID. Here's the way I look at this. It's pretty simplistic. You don't need $3 or $4 trillion. You can do it with $1 trillion, $1.5 trillion, and you can get the money out faster because you're capable of doing so. And as we head into this precarious time of year for a lot of businesses, retail, restaurants who are facing potentially the end of their business, it's time that we do something ASAP. But we don't have to do 3. 500 billion is probably not big enough. You guys meet somewhere in the middle. We get something done. People win. And then we're going to be able to come out of this in a much quicker fashion. But as usual in politics, they'd rather have 100% of nothing than 50% of something. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your tweeter. What's in the air? Look, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's a piece of whale. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And remember, there's less than 30,000 votes in Georgia and Arizona dividing Biden and Trump. And if those two states turn, if they do, then the Supreme Court could make the decision on Pennsylvania, and then Trump is president. So I don't know how it's going to turn out, but we deserve a real count to know what the real vote was so we can have confidence in our elections. And Biden should be the first person to go out there and say, look, recount.
Absolutely. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, not the sports guy, of Texas. I'm 100% behind it. Do it. Go. If I'm Biden, I'm like, let's do this right. You're concerned about these? Let's redo this. Let's canvass the hell out of these. Let's redo this. Let's find out. And if there's something untoward, then we need to fix it. But if there's not, then you need to give it up. But they say there's plenty.
We're fixing to overturn the results of the election in multiple states, and President Trump won by not just hundreds of thousands of votes, but by millions of votes that were shifted by this software. The software was designed to rig elections. It was exported internationally for profit. They did this on purpose. It was calculated. They've done it before. We have evidence from 2016 in California. We have so much evidence, I feel like it's coming in through a fire hose.
Prove it. Course. Prove the course that you think you have. Prove it to everybody. That's Sidney Powell. She thinks it's rigged. Millions of votes. Prove it. Right now, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I see that go to court, and I see Trump's court challenges either get shot down or thrown out of court immediately.
I don't buy the argument that Donald Trump has hypnotized Republican voters or that they're not capable of accepting the truth. This is a myth that's being perpetrated that's simply not true, but it requires people to explain what happened. The Trump campaign simply has no evidence. Their basic argument is this was a conspiracy so vast and so successful that there's no evidence of it. Now, if that's true, I really want to know who the people are who pulled this off. We need to hire them at the CIA. This is all smoke and mirrors. And I think people will accept that if they see leaders they respect explain it to them.
Yeah. John Bolt. Now, look, he doesn't like Trump. Trump doesn't like him. But what I am seeing is judges getting more and more angry, asking questions of where is all of the evidence? Where are all of these things. And when you talk to somebody about this, they get frustrated with you because they believe Trump won and that they were robbed from it. They believe that Trump won this thing fair and square, and that only because of deep state. And when you say, well, when you go to court, shouldn't you win those? And they'll say, no, those judges. And I'll say a lot of those judges were appointed by Trump. A lot of those judges so every single one of these people that's there, whether Trump or Obama or whether they got there, it doesn't matter. It's all deep state. You can't have a conversation with somebody like that. Not an argument, but a conversation. And the reason is pretty simple. They're not interested in critical thinking. They're not interested in thinking for themselves. They found the echo chamber that they want to live in, the confirmation bias that they like, that fits their ear perfectly. Their feelings match everything. Rather than look back and go, all right, look, let's take a look at this. 3 Supreme Court justices. Trump's pulling us out of wars. Well, he hasn't handled COVID great. We're going to get a vaccine under his watch. We had a booming economy that I think will bounce back immediately. He's done a lot of things that I thought have been really good. Rather than point out those things, the opportunity zones, look at what he did to help the Republicans along the way. Yes, he hurt them at times, but this was a referendum in many cases on Trump's attitude and who he is as a person. But when you try to point out that maybe it's not fathomable in their mind that maybe somebody else was chosen. And they'll say, look at the crowds that showed up for Biden compared to Trump. I said, yeah, but look at the crowds that show up at the anti-Trump. Those rival and in many cases beat the crowds at Trump rallies. And this was a vote against Trump. And you had a lot of Republicans that were frustrated with Trump. And it showed because look what they did in the lower portion of the ballot. Look what they did. Well, they flipped state houses. They won a governorship. They looks like they're going to hold on to the Senate. That battle is still to be determined, but it looks like that. And then when it comes to Congress, they picked up more seats. Look at those things, and you're like, whoa, that was really good. It was. Asa Hutchinson, Republican from Arkansas.
Who do you believe won the election? I expect Joe Biden to be the next president of the United States. It was good, actually, to see President Trump tweet out that he won. I think that's a start of an acknowledgement. And it is very important that Joe Biden have access to the intelligence briefings to make sure that he is prepared. During times of transition, our enemies have an opportunity to try to take advantage of us. We want to make sure that there is a smooth transition.
Yeah. I think that's what we all want. Fight it in the courts. And if you win, great. But if you don't, it's time to have some critical thought in your mind. It's time to step back and say, all right, well, Trump lost. Doesn't mean he's gone. Word is on the street, he's going to build a media empire, which he very well may do. He's found his audience, and it's huge. You'll have to look this weekend to see the Million MAGA march. It wasn't 1 million, but they'll say it's 5 million. To understand, but it also wasn't like 5,000 like some people say. So at the end of the day, it was huge. And he's got an audience, and he's got an opportunity to be a kingmaker, potentially run again in 4 years if that's what he chooses to do. It's all in front of him at this point in time. It is. But this is where critical thinking comes in, and critical thinking isn't very critical anymore, and it needs to be. Are you stuck in an echo chamber? Are you not thinking for yourself? Are you taking whatever somebody tells you as the gospel and truth? Have you maybe thought about stepping back for a second and saying to yourself, is everything I'm hearing the truth? Or am I only going to places that fit the bias that I want it to fit because I want affirmation and I'm not interested in information, because information will go against potentially my belief, which goes against me, and you take it personal. That's what you have to avoid. You have to be open-minded enough that you are like, I don't want to just be fed something. Maybe I need to go feed myself. If you're interested in that, you know what you do? Find something you believe in. Find something you believe. It doesn't have to be politics, anything. Spend the next few days researching the opposite side of it, and find out if your belief stays strong and true, or if maybe you're in an echo chamber. And it doesn't mean the other side's telling you all that's true, too. But what you'll start to find out is a lot of times it's a lot more gray than it is black and white. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of gray, well, it wasn't a gray whale. It was a whale. And 50 years ago, almost to the day, marked one of the most amazing, idiotic, stupid, awesome things that if it happened today, it would be the greatest viral video. But we have to go back 50 plus years to that moment when people in Oregon thought the best thing they could do for the stinky giant sperm whale that had washed up was blow it up.
It had been so long since a whale had washed up in Lane County, nobody could remember how to get rid of one. In selecting its battle plan, the Highway Division decided the carcass couldn't be buried because it might soon be uncovered. It couldn't be cut up and then buried because nobody wanted to cut it up, and it couldn't be burned. So dynamite it was, some 20 cases or a half ton of it. The hope was that the long-dead Pacific gray whale would be almost disintegrated by the blast, and that any small pieces still around after the explosion would be taken care of by seagulls and other scavengers.
Yeah. So there it is. 8 tons. Sperm whale sitting right there. Let me paint the picture for you guys. Oregon town, little small area, looks kind of like a setting from Jaws, but then you throw in, some people who look like they're out of Saturday Night Live, Ron Burgundy, because it's the 70s, and this great idea of blowing up this whale so it can go into bits and pieces and be easier disposed upon. 8 tons of it, so you're going to need a lot of dynamite.
Well, I'm confident that it'll work. The only thing is we're not sure just exactly how much explosives it'll take to disintegrate this thing. The dynamite was buried primarily on the leeward side of the big mammal, so as most of the remains would be blown toward the sea. About 75 bystanders, most of them residents who had first found the whale to be an object of curiosity before they tired of its smell, were moved back a quarter of a mile away. The sand dunes there were covered with spectators and landlubber newsmen, shortly to become land blubber newsmen.
So Ron Burgundy Jr. there tells it like it is. So they tell everybody, quarter of a mile away, 1,600 yards. Get away. 1,600 yards. Get yourself back. We're going to blow this thing up. We put a lot of TNT. So there should be no problems here. This should go as easy as you can think.
Our cameras stopped rolling immediately after the blast. The humor of the entire situation suddenly gave way to a run for survival as huge chunks of whale blubber fell everywhere. Pieces of meat passed high over our heads while others were falling at our feet. However, everyone on the scene was covered with small particles of dead whale.
It is everything you've dreamed of. You can see it. It's online everywhere. But they blew this thing up, and giant chunks. You know that thing that tips over the Flintstones car? Stuff that size was landing on cars so far away. We're talking about this thing didn't explode the way they thought it was going to explode. It was a disaster. This should show you why blowing up an asteroid coming to us may not work to think we couldn't even blow up a whale the right way. And to give you an idea of the power of the blast, little chunks of it, if it was to hit you, little chunks, like think about a quarter size, it's to hit you in the head, could kill you. They blew this thing up 50 years ago. You take a step back, you breathe it all in, and you think to yourself, that's the thing we needed today. Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, the humanity.
Yeah, the humanity indeed. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. By the way, to show you that we haven't come very far in our stupidity, I just saw a person driving another person down the road using him sitting on the back, pulling a refrigerator on a dolly. Soak that up, and it was a car, a Chrysler 300. Merca! 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. AMAC, Association Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization in the country, wants you to join. Amazing deals, incredible organization fighting on your behalf for things like Social Security, immigration reform, making sure your Social Security is there, making sure we have a strong border, making sure your Medicare is there because you paid into those things. On top of that, fighting for your First Amendment, Second Amendment rights, making sure the Constitution is protected, and the benefits are huge. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, and so many more. So when we get out of this thing and it opens up, you can take advantage of these things. About 19 cents a day is all it costs, and they're going to treat you amazing. They're going to help you if you got questions with things like Social Security, Medicare. They will help you and walk you through all of those steps. Fastest growing organization over the age of 50. So if you're over 50, this is for you. Join today. Go to amac.us/Chad, amac.us/Chad, amac.us/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
I would say starting in April, May, June, July, as we get into the late spring and early summer, that people in the so-called general population who do not have underlying conditions or other designations that would make them priority could get them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be earlier than that, but yeah. So, I mean, you think about it also has to do as far as the vaccine goes, how fast can they produce it? So if they both Moderna and Pfizer get emergency, because they're going to apply for, emergency relief, essentially allowing them to get this thing out there, pump it out there. Hey, we need emergency authorization, allows us to get this thing ready. We're going to go and we're going to get it to as many people as possible, as fast as possible. And that includes, obviously, the first responders, people on the front line fighting this thing, people that are potentially at high risk for getting it and getting very ill from it. I would think it would be done quicker, but you never know. We also don't know about the distribution. How's that going to work? By that time, Biden will be president. What does that look like? Is there a speed up in the process? Is there a slowdown in the process? I couldn't tell you. But March, April, that means a good majority of people, I have a feeling, for that month or so will go out and get vaccinated. And by May, June, we'll be back to some normalish way of life. I think that's possible. Absolutely. So that's good news today with Moderna. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Watched the Masters yesterday. Dustin Johnson won it going away. Very excited.
It means so much to me.
And I say that as a joke because he is the most, you can't tell if he wins or loses.
It means so much to me. It means so much to my family, Paulina, the kids. It's, they know it's something that I've always been dreaming about, and it's why I work so hard. I put in a lot of work.
He did. Guy's a beast. We could be looking at a guy here who's 36 years old, has a chance at a huge run over the next 5 to 10 years. Second major, and this one matters the most of all. And he mentioned Paulina Gretzky. That's Wayne Gretzky's daughter. Smoking hot. Just want to let you guys know.
Growing up so close to here, it's always been, a tournament that, since I've been on tour, that, since I played my first Masters, it's been, the tournament I wanted to win the most.
And he won it easy. 20 under par, $2 million, 5-year exemption on the PGA, and a lifetime exemption to the Masters. So if he plays like crap for the rest of his life, never wins a thing, doesn't make any cuts, every year he can go out still and play the Masters. That's pretty awesome. Speaking of money, I want you guys to take a step back for a second and realize that somebody this weekend spent a lot of money on a bird. A lot.
New Kim is now at 1,320,000 euro. This is almost 100,000 euro more than the most expensive pigeon before, Armando.
Pigeon?
The auction will end Sunday, and we don't know what the final price will be. It's also, it will be a surprise to us. We don't know how high New Kim will be sold for.
New Kim went for almost $2 million. Bought it from a Belgian breeder. Belgians are long-standing and stood to be the best breeders of racing pigeons. These birds can live up to 15 years. He spent $2 million on a pigeon. Soak that up for a second. In total, almost 450 birds were sold for about $7 million. Soak that up. Your pigeon that drives you crazy could be worth millions. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. You guys have a blessed rest of your Monday. We'll do it again tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.